So hi everyone, my name is Mark Miles and I just wanted to do a quick video for all of those trainers out there, all those public speakers out there, all those people that speak from stage that really want to influence their audience and have a bigger impact on their audience in a positive way. And today we're talking about some languaging that you can actually use in your presentations or in your training sessions to really influence the thoughts of the audience members so that they are thinking exactly what you want them to think throughout your training session or throughout your presentation. And we need to be very careful in what we say and how we say it whenever we are delivering a message, okay? And the more deliberate we are with our choice of words, the more we're going to be able to strategically influence our audiences mental images, their thoughts, and their future actions as well. So, as a trainer who is training an audience in a skill or a piece of knowledge or something like that, it's really important that you, first of all, have a think about what do you want your audience to think about the topic that you are teaching them or even presenting from stage, okay? So today I want to share with you just 4 simple things that you can add to your, I guess, language repertoire that's really going to help you plant the images and exact images that you want your audience to have as they go through your session. So as you're watching this video, definitely grab a pen and write these down because I'm going to give you a number of examples of how you can actually articulate certain things, okay? So the first one that we're going to talk about is the word because, okay? So definitely grab a pen, write the word down because, okay? Now, before I go into the types of words, I'm going to touch on the word manipulate, okay? So in terms of, I guess, influence, we can be in a place of leadership or we can be in a place of manipulation. Ultimately, what's the difference? What's the difference between leadership and manipulation? Well, I would say that it comes back to intent, okay? So if our intent is good, generally it's going to be in the place of leadership. If our intent is bad, well, then that could fall into the place of manipulation, so to speak, okay? So when we use these words, they are extremely, extremely powerful. So I'm going to assume when you use these words, you're going to be using them for a positive intent. Okay, and if you're up on stage and if you're looking to influence an audience, I imagine that you do have the right right intent behind everything that you are doing, whether you're training people to do something or you're casting a vision from stage and you're enrolling people in a vision, whatever it might be. All right, so let's jump into these words. So the first one is because, okay, because. So let me give you some examples of how you may use the word because in a training session or speaking from stage. So, because you have turned up today, you are going to learn some great things. Because you are taking notes right now, you're going to find that the information is so much easier to recall later on. Because we just did that activity, things will start to make sense quicker and quicker. Because you did your homework last night, you're going to find that the information that we go into right now is going to make quite a bit of sense to you. Because you are participating so well, you're going to find that the rest of the course is going to be quite smooth for you. Full stop. So hopefully you can start to see by these examples, we are strategically influencing people into thinking what we want them to think. We are saying it the way that we want people to think about it. We are saying it the way that we want people to think about it. We are saying it the way that we want people to think about it. Because we don't walk into a training session or a presentation or a public speech and say, well, this speech or this training session is going to be dull and boring, so you'll probably find it confusing and hard. Okay, we don't say that. We've all met people that do, but we all know as an audience member that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear that the experience is going to be great, it's going to be wonderful, you're going to get so much out of it, right? So as a presenter, as a trainer, you want to be saying it the way that you want people to think about it. Next one, as. Okay, so the first one was because, second one is as. Okay, so let me give you some examples of as, AS. As we do this task, you're going to find your confidence really grows. As we go through this activity, you're going to start to notice that things become clearer. As we have just done X, Y, Z, you probably noticed X. After this session, as you go out the door, you're going to start to think about how you could apply this information that we've just gone through. And you're probably going to have some new thoughts about possibilities of where you could apply this really cool stuff. As you talk to the person next to you, make sure you think about X, Y, Z. As you look at this document, make sure that you focus on this and this. As you go through this role play, I really want you to focus on X, okay? As we practice this task, you are going to notice how much easier it is to do X, okay? So, explanation time. What we are doing is we are associating a thought to do something that we're actually doing, okay? So whereas because was a cause and effect statement, as is a, I guess, simultaneous kind of thought action. We're linking those two together, okay? Now, next one, third one. Not yet, but in a moment. Not yet, but in a moment. Not yet, but in a moment, okay? Now, this phrase is going to make you stand out as a trainer or as a public speaker, because ultimately, the expression not yet, but in a moment will really define how well you can articulate instructions and manage timing. So, if you don't use this expression, this is what happens. Okay, everyone, we're going to stand up and we're going to go and meet someone and we're going to do X, Y, Z. Or everyone, we're going to turn to page 56 and we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, right? What happens is if you give the instructions too soon or too early, a couple of things happens. One, people start doing the thing too soon and they haven't heard the rest of what you're about to say. Or the second part could be people get overwhelmed or confused, and you may be able to clear up that confusion by finishing your explanation, but people have already jumped ahead in their mental image, their mental representations of what's about to happen. So when you can stagger your instructions, your audience will feel a lot more calm. They'll feel a lot more receptive to your information, and they're going to act when you want them to act. So the key expression is not yet, but in a moment. So let me give you an example of how you would use them. It would sound like this. Not yet, but in a moment, we'll all be standing up and you are going to go and meet someone and find out the following details. Before you do it, please write down the following things. All right, let's go to it. Or another one could be, not yet, but in a moment, we're going to turn to page 35. And on that page, we're going to read through some certain things. And as you read through it, I want you to be thinking about X, Y, Z, okay? Or not yet, but in a moment, we're going to head to lunch. And while you're at lunch, I want you to think about X, Y, Z, or I want you to do X, Y, Z. Can you imagine if you said, all right, we're all going to lunch, and as you go to lunch, I want you to think about, I mean, people are already standing up and heading out the door, right? Not yet, but in a moment is an amazing expression. So powerful, so powerful. And the last one I want to share with you is the expression of even, E-V-E-N. Okay, now before I share the last one with you, all these expressions come from NLP. They come from hypnosis. They come from strategic influence, okay? And if you can get the language right, then your potential to influence an audience, small or large, is so much more magnified when you are deliberate with your words. Okay, so the last one is even. Now, even is really fun one to use, and I use it all the time. Okay, so let's play. All right, as we are doing this task, it is getting even easier. As you come on time, and as you come back from breaks even earlier, we get more done. As you participate even more, you're getting more out of the class. That's a great question. And it shows to me that you are even more interested and even more wanting to learn. Your skills and knowledge are developing even quicker than I even expected. Your attention to detail is even better today than it was yesterday. This diagram right here is even clearer than the last one I showed you. The way that you just said that is even more attractive and even more confident than I've heard you say the last thing. Your answer for that was even better. Your confidence is growing even quicker. From what I've seen today, you guys are doing even better every single hour we are doing this. Full stop. Whatever it is, the word even, E-V-E-N, allows you to really accentuate the positive. And it really shows, or it really allows you to put some strategic influence on emphasis on what you want people to really take away from your session. So it could be today's session was even more empowering than ever before. And you guys, as you walk away today, as you walk away today, you appear even more confident and even more skilled, which is even better. I mean, that was too many evens, but I think you get the message, right? So if we can start to implement the even into phrases that we may be using, you're really going to notice your ability to strategically emphasize key things. Now, you don't want to do it too much, but it is a really powerful expression. Okay, so the fact that you asked that question shows to me that you are even more engaged and you're getting so much out of it, or that you are even more interested, or that you are even looking to stretch the ideas and see how else you could use them. Okay. So just to recap, the key words, the key phrases, number one was because, all right? Number two was as. Number three was not yet, but in a moment. The last one was even, okay? So because you've watched this video, you're starting to think, well, how could I use these different ideas? And as you're thinking about that, you may be thinking, wow, I could really influence my audiences, and I can really start to have a little bit more control around how I deliver my message. And not yet, but in a moment, you may even grab a pen and start to write down some examples of these phrases that you could use in your own training sessions. And that could bring even more confidence to you before you prepare for your next speech or your training session. Full stop. Just use them. All right. So hopefully through these examples, you've started to realize how you could actually implement and the results that you potentially could get. And more importantly, even more importantly, is you're starting to see what happens if you don't use them. Because very quickly, when you are aware of a trainer that may be using the expression not yet, but in a moment, and starting to see the results of it. And then you see a trainer that doesn't use that and see what happens. You're like, whoa, there's definitely some power and some real impact that you can have when you simply use that expression, not yet, but in a moment. All right, it makes the world of difference. It really does. So just to recap one more time, we got because, we got as, we got not yet, but in a moment, and last of all, even. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you want to follow me for more tips, like, subscribe, do that, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Go and influence your audiences and manipulate them for the better of the good of the world. All right. Bye for now.